Is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We we actually had a bullish day. Kind of sort of things to watch out for though. We'll get that in a second because there's a couple still red flags from yesterday's rally that I definitely want to go through. But we got Adam in the house. Good morning to Albert, Amy, Brian, Christopher. We got D, Joe, Kevin, Liza's in the house. Good morning to Martina, Matthew, Nancy. Good morning, Ron, Sebastian. We got Tina. Wes is going to rock with us. Good morning to Win. All my peeps out there in YouTube land. Good morning to all you guys. We got Daniel, Rado. Is that Gina? Gina in YouTube land? Good morning, Gina. All my people that are, all my lurkers in YouTube land. It's okay. Sitting there in the background, not commenting. I feel you. I do sometimes too. But hit that thumbs up, that like button, and hit the subscribe if you have not done so already. You guys can also check out Real Life Trading. We have free educational courses. And of course, we do this from 9 a.m. every single day till 6 p.m. at night. So you right on reallifetrading.com, you can find the all access pass if you'd like to hang out with us all day. But let's start with the SPY. So SPY, interesting day yesterday. The one thing that was starting to rally was TLT, which is the bonds. That gave a little bit of room to the markets. We also had oil coming down a little bit as well. So two little reliefs on the market. The higher that oil stays up, and it doesn't have to happen today, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but the higher that stays up, that will be another rise to inflation. So if oil comes down, which it is coming down today as well, we'll take a look at TLT in a second, but I do have my 200 simple moving average right here on the screen. We've had one day that broke through it. Strong close. We attempted to break. That is the bounce spot of yesterday. So right now we're still rejecting that 200. I still have a magic line down here of 418.37. So that is still my next spot. We have not hit that one yet for potential rally. We did get a bounce. I have a longer term fib up here from the bigger move. Looks like we got a perfect little bounce right off that 50% retracement. So we'll see if we can hold that. Like I said, the next big spot for me at least would be 418.12. And then below that would be the 618 down to this 410.59. So there could still be some pain. We do have to get back above that 200. For today, we are gapping down a little bit, nothing too crazy. The one thing to watch is we're not in a trend bullish yet, but we do have two VPOCs that are moving higher. So if we get one more, that would be the start of a potential little trend. And we'll see if we can get any further bullish momentum. Obviously, all of these moving averages are still kind of coming down on us. And we're just at a spot where maybe we can get balanced. If we're doing a 5-wave count, this could be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll see if we can get a further little bounce from that spot. Let's take a look real quick at the Qs. Before we do that, let's go bullish bearish case. Where would our targets be? The first spot I'm looking for support is 422.76. If that seems to collapse and break down, 421.49. But if that first one breaks down, that 422.76 breaks down, well, we've already retested this 421.49. That's going to be a little bit weaker, and I do think we'd have the ability to break through, continue down, and then I will be looking for that 418.31. To the higher side, keep your eye on that 200. High of day yesterday is going to be a very, very important. It's going to be a big deal if we could break through. So that's 425.54. And then if we get a little bit higher than that, 426.02, the close of today will be very important. Well, if and only if we do close above that 200. Anything still below it will keep us in that bearish camp for just a little bit longer. But we'll see if we could get any continued momentum. So I think the market right now probably looks to fade the initial rally from yesterday. And I think that 422.76 is going to be a very interesting spot. So maybe a little bit more pullback, even inside day chop for today. We'll see. But right now we do have an inside day candle for the SPY. All right, we got the Qs. Qs sitting closer to the higher part of yesterday. Still a little bit of a gap and go to the bearish side, but it is an inside day as well. We have a lot of support on the Qs to hold us up. Again, we do have a nice little double bottom in a longer term aspect of things. So maybe that double bottom could hold, even holding a decent little support. We have not really made it back for a really big out of everything, I mean, we just saw that we had a good bounce off of the 50% retracement on the SPY. We're not even in the ballpark. 50% retracement of the Q's last move is 323.56. So this thing could still have a lot of room to head down, or we could just be looking at one big pennant pattern and then we pop out of here bullish. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we are still just really holding the 23% retracement. Again, bullish day yesterday, a little bit of sell off today, not too much. So I think tech is still a little bit weaker. The lower oil prices will help tech out a lot. And then TLT is the other one. We'll look at that one next. But we should have some kind of support to the lower side, 358.59. And then if we come down a little bit lower, look for maybe 357.74 to hold. To the higher side, we do have a VPOC that was retested yesterday, 359.68. So that's going to be a little bit weaker. 360.16 was also retested yesterday. So if we could get to the 360.16, I do think it's likely we can get a breakthrough. And then we're probably looking for about 361.87. Otherwise, we're just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of just Chopville, just chopping back and forth. Is today going to be a day we break out decisively either way? From this chart, doesn't really look like it, but we'll see what happens throughout the day. Again, the closing candles today are going to be very important for sentiment going forward. And the Qs, if we do break down, there is an absolute ton of room to move. TLT, again, this is the one we're probably not going to rally until TLT can find some kind of footing, be able to stand on its own. And we are getting a bearish gap down, gap and go. Still inside day, but we're below where we gapped up on TLT. The low of yesterday on TLT was 85.84. Again, I think this is going to add a little more bearish sentiment. I have resistance sitting at 85.98, and then support's going to be building probably somewhere around 85.17. So I think we do hit a little bit more weakness. Hopefully we get a little bounce here first. But I think that gap down, if we open here in the next 22 minutes, I don't think people are going to like that as much, and we probably rally down to retest this 85.17 before we have any chance of bouncing. So I think this one does fade first. We'll see what happens. If you guys have tickers you want to throw into the chat, make sure you guys do so. Let me see if I missed any so far. Cute critters, good morning. Hola, good morning. Oh, no tickers. We got pins. Pins is the first one on the list today. All right, pins. It is a retest gap from yesterday, technically. I would be weighting this candle more than this candle. So this is a retest gap at resistance. It is a pretty good open. I don't like that resistance above us. Let's see if we can get a pullback. Question as to where. I've got my first little level of support, probably about this 26.79. So see if we can pull back to that first. That wouldn't be a blind order. Let's see if we could get a little bit lower. And yeah, let's actually play this as if it comes back 26.45. If you get 26.45, you have good risk reward. Your stop is probably going to go somewhere around 25.87, and then try to get through on that second attempt. But if it starts to break out of 27.05, then your next target is 27.43. You might have a little bit of a trade on your hands. That has also been retested as well. So that could give you a little bit of maybe take some shares there and then see if it pops through a little bit further, which would get you to about 27.68. And that would be your trade. But right here, probably not the best risk reward. So on pullbacks, it is a decent gap. Let's see if there was news on this thing. Oh, snap. Something went wrong. What if the CEO of Pins just comes in every day and he just goes, oh, snap. Something went wrong. We're down to $26. Something did not pan out. Let's see if we get this again. All right, there we go. Pinterest looks appealing. Pinterest held its first Investor Day event last week. That should really make us gap today then, huh? Where it unveiled ambitious plans for the next 3 to 5 years, despite a turbulent economic landscape last year. Notably, blah, 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 blah. User engagement. This has nothing to do with why we're probably gapping today. Let me see if there's something else. But yeah, they did have their conference last week. We already kind of rallied on the conference though. So yeah, and this is all old news. Not much there. I'm not seeing anything directly, at least from TradingView. All right. But yep. SMCI supercomputer. Super microcomputer. Still inside day from yesterday. It looks a little bit more like the Qs at this point. Just as far as the opening goes, otherwise the rest of the chart looks completely different. But I think that the Qs do pull back. This will pull back too. Look for like 277.42 as some kind of support. This is technically a bearish engulfing. This is actually a gap and go that had some serious follow through. I think there's going to be a little bit of hesitation to bring this one up higher, especially as everything else is getting rampaged up. And we do have a decent little so to the higher side, look for 283.17. Otherwise, nothing too crazy. If you're already in this thing, I'd probably be, so if you got in on maybe somewhere down here, break out of this candle 250, I think you can bring your stops up to underneath this red candle. I think if that red candle starts to go, then you probably come back down to 250.41. But right now, I think it's just consolidation. So day trade wise, maybe you could look for a little continuation. I just don't know how far you're going to get to, but that's 283.60. Really where I'd be looking. And then if we have some kind of a stretch goal, I think 288.77. But I think if we get to 288.77, you're just trying to hold on for dear life. I think you could break it at that point, and that would be your a pretty decent monster move in a bullish direction. You still have a wide open gap up here. I'm not saying we're going to hit that gap today, 342. That would be crazy. But if we could break the gap today, I would probably have to put something in the target of probably 294.09. If that thing could break out of that VPOC, I don't know. The market's going to have to really rally today. We're going to have a yesterday day today. But otherwise, kind of just chilling for now. CLX. Clorox. Nobody wants to be clean anymore. Has COVID taught you people nothing? You should be cleaning counters all day. Nobody's buying any cleaning products anymore. That's it. Oh yeah. This is a horrific looking gap. This is a gap and go. What I think weakens this gap and go is all of that selling prior. So technically we have one day that bulls tried, and they might have been convinced. You have a double bottomish, you got a hammer, bullish engulfing candle. Probably thinking this thing could get to a 50% retrace. So I think we do have some bulls absolutely trapped. I think there's a lot more days of bears that are actually going to be profitable with this one. But that is a nasty gap. That is a horrific gap. I mean, we're back to levels of 2022 right now. $2018. We're at a tiny little bit of support. What is the dividend on CLX? CLX dividend at the close of yesterday was 3.64, so it should be a little bit higher today. I don't know, with that downtrend that we're having, I don't know if that's going to be enough to entice people. I don't know. This should be, if I'm looking at this chart plainly, and maybe I'm overthinking this one, which I think I am, but if I'm looking at this chart, this looks horrible. I think at least the next target to the downside on this thing would probably be somewhere in the 122.59, maybe the 122.07 zone. we're trapping, I mean, so many people, but then this is the thing that I think I would want to just not really go long on this thing, but see if this thing gets a pop, and then I think it's short the pop, short the rip. That's probably the only way I could really play this thing because this is down a lot already. Those guys are all profitable. I know they're sitting there just petting their white cats. They're like, oh, we got them again. Super evil villain reference. I don't know if anybody got that, but yeah, I would look. I don't know if I'd be comfortable going long on this thing, but I definitely wouldn't go short yet. If I could get a pop, even into like the 128, that's an interesting one. I gotta add this one. This will be a fun one to watch. I'm not sure exactly how I want to play this thing. If you want to go bullish and you're like, okay, you know what, all those guys did make a ton of money, and let's go bullish. You do have a little bit of a longer term support where you're at now, and there's a lot of room to make money even up to 128. So kind of no man's land. Overstock, OSTK. Overstock. Invis. OSTK. 10% short float. Decent. Let's see. Was there news on this thing? Overstock Insider bought shares 493,000. Overstock taps Marcus Lemones for help with Bed Bath Beyond turnaround. And shares jump. They got the Marcus Lemones effect. Let's see if he can bring some of that Camping World into Bed Bath Beyond. Do they own Bed Bath Beyond? I don't know. Maybe they bought them. But yeah, this thing is getting absolutely crushed. Nice little gap up. Be careful of resistance, 1590. Good short float on this thing, though. Again, you're still, any of these bears don't care about this gap. They're on maybe a little bit more alert on this gap, but I don't think they're too scared. It's not as significant. But watch that resistance up there, somewhere around 1593 to $16. If this thing starts breaking 16, that could give us a decent. I think that's where the bears start to go. Okay, we've had some fun. Let's cover it. But if you like Marcus Lemones and this thing drops, you're looking for probably about $15, 1506 is your entry. NVIDIA. NVDA. Overstock's got some good short float, though. I kind of like that. NVIDIA just hanging out. Only up about 9 cents. Decently strong yesterday. Had an okay day. I think if you're trying to play NVIDIA bullish, your stops easily could be at 432.23. So that should give you a little defined risk. This one kind of looks like, I forgot what the chart was that we just looked at. Was it Super Microcomputers? This one kind of looks exactly like them. I think these are tweezers up here. Are they? It's the high of this candle. The high of this candle is 451.75. Very, very close to tweezers on NVIDIA. Most likely a chop to the higher side. I'm looking for 446.77. To the lower side, support should be somewhere around 439.46. So I guess my plan would be see if we get a little pullback first into that 439.16. Try to be patient with this one. Again, you are still inside yesterday, but this is the candle that matters. That's a bearish engulfing candle. All of this yesterday could have been just some kind of retest into where this candle broke down, and then we could see this thing fall. But if this thing does want to march bullish, we do have a interesting double bottom higher lows. And again, we'll watch TLT, we'll watch oil. That's going to affect all of this stuff. But 446.46 would be to the probably higher side of things today. Did I look at MU? Not yet. MU. Micron Technology. That one looks like my favorite so far. Scoot that to the top of the list. I could see I mean, again, we can't ignore those wicks. There is definitely some bears sitting up in the zone. They were able and strong enough to pull this thing down quite some time. This is a gap and go. We've just consolidated. Nice little gap up. Targets on this thing, I think, could take us to about 69.37. So that's decent. So what would I like to see on this one? Number one, I mean, right now we do have a VPOC we are opening at to slightly above. We'll see where that opens in the next 9 minutes. Otherwise, I would love to see a little bit of a pullback. Again, there is some bears sitting up in the zone. And then if we're looking to get a bounce somewhere 68.37, but this is a gap and go, good hammer, good little momentum. We're still kind of playing off that gap and go that we've had back on September 23rd. So I wouldn't mind just one candle red on this one and take the break. Again, target for me would be up in the 69, 38, 39 zone. Yep. I think that one's my favorite. I wouldn't want to go short, only bullish. And then let's go to the one that we get perfect attendance for because it shows up in this room every single day. We got Tesla. Tesla is gapping down slightly. Unbelievable day yesterday. I think it still has some more room higher. So look for 266.72. Bulls were absolutely relentless on this thing. See if you get a little pullback. Pullback would be, I'm going to put a little alert here. We're going to see how like 257.10 holds. So that should be yesterday's VPOC. Again, just there's nothing really in the way of this thing just continuing out higher. But that is a absolutely crazy day we had yesterday. So see if we get a little bit of profit taking here as we were gapping down a little bit and look for a bounce 257 and change. Let's see what else you guys got. We got SPY we did already. Disney. Disney still looks like it's, I don't know, zero. Is it zero yet? Not yet. Below 80, so that's all horrible. We tried to put a little hammer in yesterday. That one didn't really hold. We were gapping below that. So still inside day. See if you get a rally. Look for 79.24. That's gonna be your spot to short. And then I think continue down pressure, but there's no buyers in the world of Disney yet. Delta might have a good day. Watch airlines today, watch cruise lines today. Any of those guys, as oil comes down, these guys will have the little bit of breathing room to push up higher. So I'm actually going to bring Delta up. We're going to look for some bullish plays on this one as well if we could get it. This is technically a retest gap, so don't be the first one, I don't think, to buy this one. You also have some resistance coming in 36.47. See if you get a little pullback into 36.10. If you do, that might be a good spot, providing that oil stays down and would not actually, at that point, by the time we hit that, oil is rallying higher because that's going to add some extra pressure to it. But really interesting gap. Technically, this is an inside day, right? And then so we're kind of just really playing this one. That would make it more of a gap and go scenario where I think Delta could open and rally, but we do have some levels right above us that could stomp on its dreams. We'll see. Matthew says AMD had a daily 10 EMA bullish a few days ago. Would you still try to set that up as a swing? Are you talking about this candle right here? I don't have my 10 EMA on. Yeah, I just don't have my 10 EMA on this chart. You could. I like the bounce spot where AMD came in. This is starting to look a little head and shoulders, so that could be decent. So you're playing the 10 EMA, but you're really playing a potential head and shoulders. The problem with this one, I mean, you still, you know what? You're kind of out of that downtrend now. So this candle got out. See if we pull back. I think what I would like to do is, instead of a breakout on this one, probably look for like a 102.28 bounce. For me, I'm a little bit risk tolerant though. So 102.28 would be a better spot. That's about halfway through yesterday's candle. And then that allows you to either get your stop at like 94.32, or even maybe into, I don't know, 97.55, something like that. But you'd already be in slightly better price. If you really want to go aggressive with it, honestly, this candle shouldn't break down. So you could probably also do like a 98, 97. And then by the time you get up there, you're already up almost probably an R if you take this one. But it does look like it's trying to bounce. Nice little hammer. Looks decent. And I like that little inverted head and shoulders. And to me, the line is, how much time I got left? 4 minutes. To me, this is kind of our downtrend. So any kind of retest into there, and then it looks to bounce. Win says, yeah, it's struggling with the 105. Exactly. Yeah, there is resistance up here. There's resistance up here. And then the entire way up, there's going to be different pivots. So I think trying to get this thing on a pullback rather than, and it was a good candle yesterday. I think this will come back. I wouldn't be surprised we sell off a little bit on AMD at some point today, maybe at the open. But we have some level of support, 103.30. So we'll see what happens. But I do think we can get back to this 102.30 and then potentially this way you're already making money up into the tougher zones. I'm not going to get to all these tickers because I'm running out of time, but we'll try our best. We got Mara on the list. Mara's just kind of chilling. So, I mean, this could be the start of a Harambe, which would be fun. Not to be confused with Harambe, RIP. But we got Mara just sitting down there. A little bit of a bear trap hanging out. All crypto. If crypto is going to go weak, Mara and Riot. So I see Riot's on your list too. If you want to try to play Mara, and I would say the same thing for Riot. If you do like it bullish, and I probably like Mara a little bit better than Riot. I think it's got a better short flow to it. But your stop is going to be under here. You're really essentially trying this hammer, and stop would be 8.59, and then your entry would be 9.16, something like that. It's got a long way to go for any confirmation, but that's kind of the risk reward I would play on it. Upstart. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up. Not looking fantastic. You have an interesting double bottom. I don't really have any tells on this one in terms of, I mean, to the lower side, I'm really looking for 26.30 to hold up. To the higher side, 26.60 is going to be resistance. And then we have a few more resistance above us. So this one's inside day. I think this one's going to struggle and just more or less chop around today. DELL. What do I got left? Like 30 seconds. A little bit of a gap down still inside this candle. This is probably going to be a retest gap. So if you, I don't think I would go short here, at least at open. See if you can get a little bit of a higher push. And then if you do want to short this thing, somewhere around 67.23 would be a much better spot. And you do have a lot of room back down if this gap folds. Otherwise, next target will be 64.03. And then we're going to look for that gap fill if it happens, but it's really still just kind of hanging out inside of that monster gap that Dell had. So, but everybody out there, YouTube land, I do appreciate you joining us each and every morning. I will be back with you guys tomorrow. Be safe out there in the markets. Be careful. Watch the TLT, watch the bonds, and today also watch the oil as well, because if oil starts to bounce, if TLT is coming down, it's going to be very difficult to go long. If we see any kind of relief in either of those, then maybe we have a little bit of a shot. We'll see.